La 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 la
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. As I look around at this collection of people in all different places, seeing everybody's beard getting a little bushier, hair getting a little longer. We know we've been at this for a really long time. And I want to especially say that I can see so many of you who are not in San Francisco with us, who wouldn't be able to be with us if we were actually in our gorgeous sanctuary. So the silver lining, I guess, in all of this is that those of you who are in Tahoe and Guatemala and other places can be with us. And I want to give a special shout out to Barry Leschowitz, a friend and former congregant from my days in Phoenix, who has joined us tonight and wouldn't have been able to be with us. We're so happy to have you with us, Barry, and especially on this really difficult Shabbat of the first yard site of your beloved Phyllis. We welcome you to join us here at Congregation Shereth Israel. So hello, I saw you a minute ago and I can't see you right now, but I know you're there. So we want to give everybody a chance to just take a nice deep breath. It's been a really bad week. Let's just say that. It's been a really bad week. And so as we come into Shabbat and come into this incredibly windy Shabbat, is it super windy wherever you are? It's like, yes, okay, I'm getting some nods. Yes, it looks like these trees are gonna blow over outside my window. Come into this very windy Shabbat, maybe it's gonna blow some of this horrible pain out of our space, out of our minds, and allow us to leave a little bit of room for something else, some Shabbat peace to come in and to enter through the beautiful music and the sense of community, some new friends and some old friends. So I want to invite everybody to just take a minute to think about something good that happened in this difficult week. And Gordon is going to help us move into a breakout room. I should have said I'm Rabbi Jessica Zimmerman Graf. Just a minute ago, you heard from Cantor David Fromer, and of course, our wonderful Jonathan Dimmock, who's on the piano with that beautiful entry into Shabbat. Rabbi Phelps will be on your screen in just a minute. So we're gonna head into a breakout room. I know I've heard from some of you guys, you either like this part or don't like this part of our experiment, but it gives us a chance. I see some of you smiling who I know don't like this, but it gives us a chance to say hello to a few people, pretend like you're actually up close and personal with them, and you can even pretend to give a hug, and share one wonderful thing that happened this week, even despite all of the difficulty. The breakout rooms are completely random. They're arranged by Gordon, and there were some technical difficulties, I know, last week. So we're gonna try again. Gordon, will you shuffle us off, and you don't have to do anything to return. Gordon will bring us right back. Rabbi Abby, will you introduce our candle lighters tonight?
Absolutely, I'll be happy to. So we have some candle lighters this evening who are celebrating an exciting simcha. So in this age of digital participation in Jewish life, Bill and Shira Shore get to be the proud grandparents of Ezra, who is becoming bar mitzvah, I believe, this weekend in Berkeley. So if you would, Bill and Shira, I believe we've highlighted you now, although on my end, we can't really see you moving, but hopefully that's just my end. Please let us know if you're out there and you can light the candles for us. There we go.
All right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Let's share do the singing. for obvious reasons.
Shabbat shalom to
Amen. Shabbat
everybody.
shalom.
Mazal tov to our Kvelling grandparents.
Thank you so much for so beautifully leading us. And now we will continue on with our service with Lecha Dodi, our prayer welcoming the Sabbath bride to come and join us this evening. Please join Cantor Fromer.
So before we get started, we're using some beautiful slides that were purchased by the synagogue from the Central Conference of American Rabbis Press. I'm going to share them in 1 second so that you can see what they look like. And hopefully they'll be a little bit smoother in our transitions from the text. And hopefully, can everyone see that? The words to Lecha Dodi? Get some nods. Yes, we have it. There's some beautiful.
When we get this perfect, we're all going to be back together again.
Right. Yes, exactly. But hopefully these will be a little smoother than all the flipping pages, and we can also enjoy some beautiful artwork. So we want to thank Shereth Israel for investing in this, because I think it will really add quite a bit to the service. So without further ado, we'll continue with Lecha Dodi.
David, we okay there? We don't hear you.
Oops.
Okay, I can see you've muted yourself, but
Thanks for the heads up, Gordon.
Lecha Dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kahala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נהסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue our service with Tov Lahodot. It is good to praise God morning and evening all throughout Shabbat. We give thanks for our opportunity to take a little break from all of the craziness and frankly the horror that we see going on in the world, and remind ourselves that somewhere out there is the divine presence waiting to inspire us and lead us to better things. So we sing Tov Lahodot in praise of that presence.
טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. 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 להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבר, עלי היגיון בכינור. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן, מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון.
We invite you now to stand if you are able as we come together for the Baruch Hu, our formal call to prayer, the thing that unites us as a prayer community.
Lai
Now, as we prepare to recite the Shema, I can't help but feel that it's especially resonant at a moment like this. The Shema calls on us to understand that God is one and that God's oneness is forever, and that that oneness is the model that we want to set before us as the example for ourselves and for humankind. A colleague of mine, Rabbi Avi Killip, wrote an article in the foreword this week in which she talked about how the Talmud actually has a lot to say to us about how to be anti-racist. And one of the ways that we can read it as a text about anti-racist work is if we read the passages about avodah zarah, about strange worship, about idolatry, as being about any kind of abhorrent societal obsession, such as racism. And that if we read it as being about that, it can give us a great deal of wisdom as to how to work against racism in our societies while still remaining a part of them. So as we watch thousands of people praying with their feet out in the world, some of them meeting with horrific violence, some of them meeting with participation from the police in a few cities, we remember that we are one with them, we are one as a people, and we remember that that oneness is not just a given, it's also something that we have to work to create, and that our tradition does have tools to give us to help us with that. So I invite you to hold all of those ideas in mind as we recite the Shema together tonight.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Now we continue with Mi Chamocha, our song of freedom, celebrating the freedom to gather, the freedom to assemble, the freedom to do all of the things that we hold so dear in this country and as human beings in the world. Please join us in Mi Chamocha. Now we continue our service with Hashkivenu. We give thanks for the shelter that we are all so fortunate to continue to have over our heads, and we wish for shelter for all of those in need of it.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום בהעמידנו מלכנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום בהעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ושמור צאתנו ובואנו ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ושמור צאתנו ובואנו השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום להעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים
We now invite you to rise if you are able and join us in Adonai Sefatai, the beginning of the Amidah.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We're going to take some time now to listen to some contemplative music by Jonathan, after which we'll continue with Oseh Shalom at the conclusion of the Amidah.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, כי אתה אומר
Shabbat Shalom. I don't know why I can't see myself. Let's see if we can fix that. There we go. Those of you who have known me for any length of time know that I don't usually fully write out my drash. It comes from many years ago when I was at Congregation B'nai Jeshurun, which is where I did my rabbinic fellowship and where Cantor grew up, one of the synagogues that he grew up in. They didn't allow us to have any paper in front of us. And so as a result, we were taught to speak from the heart and to say what we wanted to say. And most of the time, I love that because then when I'm speaking to you, I'm really speaking to you. But a couple times a year, I do write out my drash, usually Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are those couple of times. I felt that I should write it out tonight, and so it'll be a little bit more formal. We'll see if we like this style. I wanted to have my thoughts in this crazy week really composed. So, I've been thinking a lot about my bubby ever since I wrote the missive last week and outed her Seas Candy style. I'd love to talk to her about what's going on in the world now. Her ability to evaluate things and stay calm was quite remarkable. She lived through the Holocaust, made her home on 3 continents, and spoke 8 languages, though she wasn't formally educated. For my grandmother, life was her schooling. I wish I could hear her opinion of the world today and be inspired by her wisdom. I don't know what she'd say, probably something like, we've lived through all this before and we'll get through it now. And we have to take better care of each other. I jokingly said that she honored the individuality of each Seas Candy as she did her own grandchildren. And though I was joking, my comment was based a bit in truth. She did honor each candy for its own sake. And she did have an ability to see the uniqueness of each person she loved and appreciate that. More than that, though, she cultivated the uniqueness of each person. Often at family meals, there would be a discussion about a topic, finances, politics, ethics, things most people wouldn't ask kids to comment on. But my grandmother always made sure to ask each of the kids at the table to share their thoughts and opinions. And she listened to the ideas we had. She asked us to explain what we would do or how we might handle the situation. And she made us feel respected and heard and worthy of being respected and heard. Not because of our expertise, but because of our existence. I've often shared a quote that Tracy Boxer Zill has shared from time to time in Torah study. It came from his mother, and he taught us that it was important to his identity. I think of it very often because it rings so true. He said his mother used to tell him every time he went out as a teenager, know who you are and whose you are. If you know where you come from and the people and values that you came from, you will know who you are. It's what inspires confidence in one's identity and self. It's what gives clarity to ideas, and it's what inspires courage to live a life you believe is moral. Sadly, most people never learn to believe in themselves in this way. They don't really know whose they are or who they are, and so it is very hard to honor others. In our Torah reading cycle, we read the second part of Parshat Naso this week. How can that be, you ask? As the old adage goes, 2 Jews, 3 opinions, it applies to Torah portions as well. Al regel echad, standing on 1 foot, I'll say that the way Shavuot fell over Shabbat meant that different movements of Judaism read different Torah portions last week. And so to even it out, we read the second part of Naso this week. But never mind the details. It means that we once again read the priestly benediction, Birkat HaKohanim, that I spoke about last Friday night. But that was before our country erupted in protests, and this ancient blessing took on a new meaning for me this week. Last week, I said that it's about witnessing and helping, giving the blessing to each other. We're serving as God's emissaries in a way, I said, This week, I want to look at this blessing from another angle. Yes, it's still about blessing each other and being blessed by God, but it's also about feeling worthy of receiving the blessing, knowing that you are holy and seeing that others also contain holiness. How lucky that we read Naso again in this painful week. We can use all the blessings we can get and give. Let's talk about current events. A Black man was killed by brutal force of a white police officer in Minneapolis. There's more to the story than first met the eye, but much has already been said about the person who was killed and the person who killed him. I want to focus for a minute on the other 3 police officers. Apparently, there were some other videos from the scene aside from the one that so many of us viewed of the brutal 8 minutes and 46 seconds. But in those 8 minutes and 46 seconds, one human being was able to keep his knee on another's neck as 3 other human beings stood there, not saying anything, not telling the bully to quit, as the victim's eyes bulged in his face. The video is sickening to watch. The officers who stood there in silence, what was going through their minds? Did they know that their words mattered? Perhaps the outcome would have been the same, but the world wouldn't quite be the same if they had realized how much their words would matter. The Torah teaches us in Leviticus, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. Did those officers not know that their actions would matter, that their words could have saved a life, that the Torah demanded that they do something? I can't help but think that perhaps Leviticus's instruction to not stand idly by might have given them the moral courage required to speak up. But even more than that, what about Birkat HaKohanim, the priestly benediction that we receive in this week's Torah portion? Passed down from God to Aaron to be used for all the people of Israel. The inherent message in this blessing is that each person is worthy of receiving it. And as the blessing was passed on to all of us to use to bless each other, the inherent message is that each person is also worthy of giving blessing to others. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God turn to you and smile upon you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God be with you and bring you peace. Though this blessing asks for God's grace to be given to each of us in ways we can't control, it is also a profound message about the things we can control. Though we don't control all aspects of health and life, we do bring blessings to one another as we navigate the challenges of our real lives, in real life. We can care for each other and support people, connect with people, bring love and caring, and help people find a sense of belonging and gratitude and peace. This blessing is a bit like the motzi, though it serves a different time. The motzi is another example of a blessing that has a divine and a human component. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we say, we thank you, God, for bringing forth bread from the earth. But anyone who has made challah, as you've heard of my tale, knows that it takes a lot of work, maybe 40 years of trial and error, to bring forth a challah from the oven, at least an edible one. God does not bring forth bread from the earth alone. God helps things grow in soil with rain and sunshine and human effort. Together we bring forth bread from the earth. Together in partnership with God, we also bless one another and bring blessing to each other. It is quite a unique and extraordinary fundamental value of Judaism that comes to us in this parsha. We learn that we are God's partners. Each of us is worthy of receiving blessing from others, and each of us is worthy of giving it. Though we don't control every aspect of life, we have great power to impact quality of life and blessing. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel famously wrote, in a free society, all are guilty, some are responsible. We live in a complicated world. Often it's the moments when we stand as accomplices or decide if we will be accomplices through our action or inaction that define us. Do we speak up for good or evil or neither? Part of the story of the tragic events of this last week are about self-identity and honoring ourselves so that we can honor others. We've seen in our world that dignity is often missing. Sometimes we don't give it to others. Sometimes we don't believe we're worthy of it. Sometimes it's stolen from us, or some sad combination of all of those. In a free society, some are guilty, all are responsible. Most of us are not directly guilty for horrible crimes or terrible indignities against other people, but we have to consider the small ways in which we are. Avenue Q's famous song comes to mind. The puppets sing, "Everybody's a little bit racist." Isn't it true? Those thoughts, when added up, don't generally lead to murder, but they do lead to painful messages which devalue other people and dehumanize them. Next week's Torah portion ends with the famous scene where Miriam, Moses' sister, is punished, maybe with leprosy, for Lashon Hara, evil tongue. She slanders her sister-in-law Zipporah and claims she was a Cushite woman. There are many commentaries trying to clarify what this insult seems to have been about. But suffice it to say that in the last few thousand years, not nearly enough has changed. Zipporah, who was actually Midianite, is called a Cushite by Miriam and Aaron, an Ethiopian. The rabbis have many interesting interpretations of this, but if we stick to a more literal reading, Miriam and Aaron criticize their brother Moses for having a dark-skinned wife. Their racist comments are intended to devalue Zipporah and minimize her worth. Sadly, some things haven't changed at all, and these lessons in the Torah remain eerily relevant today. Much ink has been spilled about Lashon Hara by our sages and ancient rabbis, the concept of verbally degrading someone and diminishing their self-worth is terrible. It hurts everyone involved and brings disgrace to humans who should elevate one another and recognize their inherent holiness. How can we use words and blessings to lift each other up? The power of our words can increase someone's sense of self-worth and self-respect. How can we use words to speak up, to be upstanders? The giving of the priestly benediction is so significant to our understanding of our responsibility in the world. We each are worthy of receiving blessing, and we each have the power to give blessing to others. During this week of searching for some learning, some wisdom to help guide us through this challenging time, I read many articles and listened to many speeches. Issues of race and police violence and injustice are so charged, rightly so. Moral outrage leads to moral courage, and then we can work to change our world. Many messages came from anger and indignation, some from sadness, and some from blessing. I was particularly moved by a letter that Wanda Holland Green, the head of the Hamlin School, read to the community. Wanda is something of a local hero. She leads a girls' school right around the corner from Shereth Israel. It happens it's the school that I went to. But she's also a national figure serving on major boards of organizations, universities, and institutions that really make a difference. She's also the daughter of a preacher and has tremendous respect for the Hebrew Bible. And she is a proud Black woman from Brooklyn. She's brilliant and poetic and an incredible leader. So I was interested to hear what she had to say to children about this challenging time in our society. She began her letter with these words: "Dear strong and courageous Hamlin girls, there is so much in my heart and my head that I want to say to all of you. My thoughts have been swirling and spinning and slipping and colliding and collapsing and crashing for many days. The truth is that even when you are 52 years old, sometimes the world feels very big and very hard to grasp." She goes on to talk about leadership, and then she defines two words that are so important these days: race and racism. She speaks to the white girls at Hamlin and she says, what can you do to fight racism? Love yourself, be yourself, and love others. Be willing to speak up if you or anyone else is being mistreated. And then she speaks to the so-called Black, brown, or beige girls. And she says, what can you do to fight racism? Love yourself, be yourself, and love others. Be willing to speak up if you or anyone else is being mistreated. Wanda ends her letter with these words: "You have everything inside of you. You have all you need to be the warriors for equity and justice. I know you can. I love you." Each of us has everything inside to change the world, to be the warriors for equity and justice. We must believe we do possess that, and that we are worthy of all that has been entrusted to us. And we must believe that we have the power to lift up others with blessing and respect and dignity and confidence so that they too will change the world. In a free society, some are guilty, but all are responsible for ensuring that the basic blessing of well-being and wholeness and peace belongs to everyone. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless us and keep us as we sustain each other. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God turn to us and give us courage to help each other. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God be with us and give us the clarity to see the holiness in each other and to live in peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yasher koach. Thank you so much for sharing those words with us. When we come together, especially at times like these, when there's a great deal of difficulty and struggle in the world, one of the things we have the privilege of doing is praying for one another's health and well-being. In Mishaberach, we ask God to bring us healing of mind, body, and spirit. And we think especially this week for healing of Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, William Kurian, and Michael Charlo. Just a moment, we'll join together in singing Mishaberach, and partway through, we will pause, and you'll have an opportunity to add to those names any names of folks for whom you are wishing healing tonight. Please join us in singing Mishaberach.
Even in times of difficulty, we are so grateful for the privileges that we have in our lives and for the privilege of having life. We join together at this time in thanking God for life and for letting us arrive at this day together with the words of Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. If you are observing Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning, please stand wherever you are. We remember for Shloshim in our community, Henrietta Michal Abir, Karen Richardson, and Sydney Shear. The perpetual memorials in our community are Sydney Black, Charles Einbund, Mildred Molly Einbund, Ethel Goldberg, Janet Lewis, and Art Rosenberg. If you're observing the first year of mourning for a loved one, please stand and say a name out loud. We have a number of yard sites on this Shabbat as well. If you're observing a yard site, please stand where you are. I want to share the name that I mentioned at the beginning of this service, Phyllis Leschowitz, on this, the first anniversary of her death. I just learned of her death a few days ago from Barry. Phyllis and Barry have been very involved and committed students of Torah and members of many Reform synagogues, and all of the different Reform synagogues where they have committed themselves to building community are sharing Phyllis's name on this Shabbat in her beautiful memory. We remember her too. We also remember the yard sites of so many who helped to build our community and make Congregation Shereth Israel strong and to enrich our lives. Victor Akers, Dr. Kenneth Barton, Mary Brisker, Gertrude Deutsch, Celia Fell, Max Garfinkel, Abraham Gerber, Felix Kolb, Mark Laserwith, Blossom Licht, Gail Moss, Anna Constance Nervo, Herman Reisfeld, Jesse Rice, Ed Rosenbaum, William Rodish, Edward Ruse, Edna Schoen, Mira Slutskaya, Riva Slutskaya, Betty Voppen, Mildred Wandel, Sophia Zeltzer. We remember all of these people and thank God for the privilege of those lives which inspired us. Join together with the words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'almad divrah chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei olmaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yipa'ar ve'yitramam ve'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata v'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom v'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and bring comfort to mourners wherever they are, especially in this week, in this time, when we realize that mourning sometimes extends beyond, far beyond our own families and into our society, when we mourn for someone who represents so many of our values. We say together, Amen. May God bring comfort to our mourners and to the world. We have a few announcements tonight. First of all, I want to let you know that we had the fourth in our wonderful series from the front lines, our talks about COVID-19. They are posted on our website now and on our YouTube channel. And Peter, if you would, let's see, share a link. The link that you shared a few minutes ago, I think, is not the same link, but there should be a link so that people have a chance to see it if they didn't before. And I want to say there have been a couple of questions that came up in the last few days since the presentation that all of our guests have provided us with lots of food for thought. And Stephen Schoenfeld, in the really interesting talk this past Wednesday, mentioned some of the things that he considered to be really wonderful ways that Netanyahu has addressed COVID-19 in Israel. Very interesting to consider the way that Israel and the US have dealt with this, in some ways similarly, in some ways very differently. But it's not to say that through those comments we endorse other things that perhaps Netanyahu has done that are not aligned with our reform values. So I just want to say that we don't necessarily endorse all of the views of our guests, and this wasn't a political conversation, but an effort, as every guest is who comes to us, to open meaningful discussion, and I think that happened beautifully. So if you didn't have a chance to listen, please do go onto our website and listen. All 4 of the interviews and conversations, I think, provided us with a really interesting and thoughtful conversation on how we are addressing the pandemic which is upon us. Other announcements, Rabbi Phelps?
Just the usual things. Please join me for Torah study tomorrow if you're able. And if you are part of the studio community, Summer Studio is still running strong. So I will see you Sunday morning for that.
Cool. Any other stuff? Cantor, Gordon, anything going on in the world?
No, but it would not, there's never too many times to say thank you for everyone who showed up to the beautiful, beautiful event in honor of my farewell last Saturday evening. It was really overwhelming. You know, I spoke for a long time. According to my wife, my thank yous apparently were about as long as the entire ceremony itself. So I don't want to go into it all here again, but just to say thank you so much. It was really, really overwhelming and so beautiful. And I'll always remember it, you know, wherever I go from here. So thank you.
And actually, to that end, Cece, I saw you on here earlier. Do you want to make an announcement about how people will have a chance to see all of that? Are you still here? Okay, well, Cece was here. She did an amazing job of putting this together. She may even be here, and I just don't know how to use this technology yet. I'll figure it out just as we go back to the sanctuary. But the music and the tribute book and, in fact, the entire event were recorded and are available for people to watch over and over and over and over again. So Cantor will be with us through next Shabbat. Please make sure to join us next Friday night so that you get to hear him and be with him and give him a virtual hug. And I take it back, I might actually pop the Dyers of Removing Band. I don't know, just have to see. So that might be it from here, and we will, oh, that's not it at all. The most important announcement for tonight, Cantor Fromer, will you introduce our amazing special guest who is celebrating a very big number and is going to lead us in Kiddush?
Yes. Cantor Feldman, are you out there? Oh, I see you right there. Wave. Ah, there we go. We can spotlight you. Cantor Feldman, am I correct that this is your 63rd birthday? Is that right?
Only 92.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope I'm doing as well as you are when I turn 92. Let me just say that. So we invite Cantor.
My beautiful wife is going to be 92, July 17th.
Oh my goodness.
We wish you such happiness and health together and continuing to lead our community. You should all know that Cantor Feldman called me at the beginning of this shelter in place and offered to bring any groceries to any of our older congregants who needed help. So we love you and we wish you youth for many, many more years.
Thank you so much.
Cantor Feldman, would you do us the honor of leading us in Kiddush tonight?
Well, it would be a great honor for me, and I want to thank you, Dave, and of course, Jessica, my bat mitzvah student, for all the wonderful, wonderful treatment that they have afforded me over the years. And we're all thankful for our gift of life, and we want to thank God. And I am particularly blessed to have a beautiful wife alongside of me. We're married 58 years. And we've had a wonderful life. We thank God for the blessings. So let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzanu, mishabbat kodeshav, yahavahu ratzon higilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom tehillah mikra v'kodesh, zecher ziyah Yisraelim. Kivanu v'achata, yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, b'shabbat kodesh, yahava uratzon ilkartanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. L'chaim. Thank you.
Another one. We love you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Do we have anyone to display some chalot for Motzi? Oh, I see Rich Weissman has a beautiful challah. Who else? I cannot see everyone, but I know several people. Oh, the Breslauers maybe. Oh, Joe Beth and Ira I see, and Janet and Chris.
And actually, Ruth is holding up her challah. I learned from Facebook today. It's a double challah with 3 strands on top and 5 strands on the second deck. Is that true? I'd hold it up again. Let's see. It was amazing.
Yes, it's true. Oops.
Something for Jessica to aspire to.
I'm just going for edible right now. I'm not going for fancy.
I sent you the recipe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
These chalot look really beautiful. I see so many beautiful. Oh, there. Oh, my goodness. Roberta. Wow. So many beautiful ones. All right. Well, let's join together in Motzi as a beautiful, connected online Shereth Israel community here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
All right. We will conclude with Ein Keloheinu, so we'll bring that back up on the screen. Hold on one sec. So that we have all of our Ladino words, hopefully, that we can follow along with here. Okay. And in 1 second, look at the music.
Ein Keloheinu, ein Kadonenu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kemoshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Malkeinu, mi Moshienu, quien como nuestro Dios, quien como nuestro Señor, quien como nuestro Rey, quien como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu, lo haremos nuestro Dios, lo haremos nuestro Señor, lo haremos nuestro Rey, lo haremos nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, bendicho nuestro Dios, bendicho nuestro Señor, bendicho nuestro Rey, bendicho nuestro Salvador. nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador. La 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 la
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.